Hey folks, welcome to another training video. We'll be chatting about the Page Parameters Gadget today, which allows you to edit the page parameters from the sidebar while also still viewing a preview of the page. Let's take a look at a page and see it in action. So, I'm here in the library page in my site. Say, for example, that the page is not laid out the way I want it, and so I need to go into the Page Parameters screen to make some adjustments. Normally, I would check out the page, click on Properties in the Page Actions toolbar, and then edit what I needed to edit. However, there is one significant drawback to this. I don't have the opportunity to view the page while I make my changes, so that means if I'm making multiple changes to the page and checking incrementally along the way, I need to hit Save to preview the page again, then I have to click Properties again, change my next thing, hit Save, and so forth. The Page Parameters Gadget helps alleviate this problem by essentially giving you your entire page parameters screen in the Gadget sidebar while you still have the page preview open, so you can save yourself a few mouse clicks and make incremental changes more easily. As you can probably guess by this point, this means this gadget will appear for me in the Gadget sidebar only when I am viewing or editing a page in OU Campus. As you can see here, I have the gadget open, but I haven't checked out the page. Since normally I would need to check out the page before I could edit page parameters, the gadget is no different. Only after I check out the page will the gadget actually populate with the parameters on this particular PCF. Now that the page is checked out, I can see that all of my page parameters can be seen and edited. Let's go ahead and make some edits. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and change the page heading, and then we'll just click Save in the Gadget right here. As we can see, the page will change as soon as I hit Save, so I can make changes more quickly than if I was using the normal method. I'll make a few more changes here to just finish up what I wanted to do. This time I might even go ahead and change up the layout of the page. Okay. Turn some stuff on, turn some other things off. That's great. Once that's done, I'm going to hit Save, view my page preview again, and then I am ready to publish. There we go. That's the basic functionality of this gadget. However, we do have a few more advanced things that administrators can control inside the gadget, so let's take a look at those. First of all, I can opt to prevent certain parameters from appearing in the gadget. Obviously, for pages that contain a ton of parameters, this gadget could start wearing out the scroll wheel of your mouse. What I could do is only elect to show the key parameters of the page and save the more detailed or the less commonly changed parameters for the standard page parameters screen. The way that I could do this is by entering the source of the page, and then inside the source of the page, we see all of these parameter tags. Each parameter element corresponds to one of the elements that we sort of fill out in the page properties form, so to speak. If I add this exclude-gadget attribute, so it will eventually read exclude gadget equals yes, to the opening tag of any of my parameter elements, that parameter will still show up in the normal page parameters screen, but it will not show up in the gadget. I'll add it to the page heading parameter that we worked on earlier, and then I'll save my content. To check my work, let's first go to the page parameters screen to confirm that it does still appear for me there, which we can see it does. Now let's open up the gadget, and we can see, after it finishes populating, that it doesn't appear. Once again, this is useful to only show the most important parameters in the gadget, so people aren't simply overwhelmed with options. One limitation to this is that it only works for parameter elements and not metadata elements such as title or meta description. Luckily, there is something else that you can do to prevent those from being shown in the gadget if that's something you don't want to display. If you are a level 10 administrator, there is a setting that you can adjust in the setup menu to hide the metadata fields from the gadget. If you go to Setup, then Gadgets, and then click on the Page Parameters Gadget line item, you will see under the Properties heading that I can choose to not display the title and meta tags section of Page Parameters. If I change that property here, then go back to my page, and then I open the gadget, we can see that my title, description, and tags will not be shown in the gadget anymore, but if we hop back to the normal method, they will still appear in the normal Page Parameters screen. Okay, well, that covers everything that you can do with the Page Parameters gadget. Here's a recap. First, the gadget is available from the sidebar when you're viewing the page or editing it through Multi-Edit or the WYSIWYG editor. It will not appear if you are viewing the source editor. You can use the gadget to adjust the parameters of the page more quickly than through the normal Page Parameters screen. The page will need to be checked out to you in order to adjust parameters. And finally, you can limit which parameters appear in the gadget by editing the gadget settings from within the setup menu, or by adding exclude gadget equals yes into the opening tag of a parameter element in the source editor. I hope you've learned some useful tips for editing the parameters of a page today, everybody. Thanks for watching.